lucky to have two fantastic guests with us. Let me start by introducing Miss Lauren Gentene. She is the principal at our middle school. And Lauren has had two different roles with us. She started originally back in 2015 and 16 as a high school English teacher.
That's correct.
We knew her and loved her at that time. She left us because she was pulled away by another school district to be an administrator at a building. Then, starting 2 years ago, when we had an opening to be the principal at the middle school, she loved us so much that she came back.
That's right, like a boomerang.
So now here she is back with us again, and she's going to have really great information to share with us all about our brand new middle school. Equally, we have someone who's a very familiar face to many, many parents and students within our district. This is Mr. Nick Carpenter, and he is our middle school counselor. And he has been working for the school district for 13 years, started out originally as an intervention specialist, and then transitioned over as the school counselor for the last 9 years. Did I get those information right?
Correct. I've been here actually 13 years as an intervention specialist.
As an intervention specialist,
and
yes.
9 years as a counselor for a total of 22.
22 years. Like I said, he knows lots of faces. Lots of faces. He also is a former basketball coach as well. So he's had many different roles. So I'm so excited to have you. Welcome to Masterclass.
Thank you.
And obviously, we just need to spend a lot of time talking about this like state-of-the-art, beautiful building that we've recently moved into. And it seems like a fair place to start by thanking our community. We could not have this beautiful facility if it wasn't for the community awarding us a bond and a levy, which allowed us to build it. And just to give perspective, I recently ran into some families who had toured our new middle school, though their children have graduated, and they were saying to me, Melissa, when I first came to the old middle school for a tour, when my child arrived there in 6th grade, I went home and said to my spouse, like, you will not believe the condition of that school. Like, it literally is falling down the side of the hill. And I was like, yes. And so now here we are all these years later, and we have this like incredible learning space. So there's just so much to celebrate, and there's so much to be thankful for. So let's just jump in. We've moved in, and the first day for students was pretty recently, January 11th. It seems like longer than that, but it was pretty recent for each of you. I just would love you to share a memory of your impression as the students walked in and saw this incredible space for the first time.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's the second building that I've opened, and so to be able to do it a second time and kind of learn from things that didn't go well the first time, one of the things that's impressed me the most about this process is truly, I don't think that there will be anybody who can find a public school that was built with so much collaboration, so much input, and where the board invested in making decisions that were based truly on students and pedagogy. And so I think that we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about that. And so some of my favorite memories are getting texts from our 7th grade teachers who had been teaching in the modular unit for the last couple of years, and it being the second day that school had been open and our first day in a traditional bell schedule, and saying, is it too early to use the collaborative spaces? We have ideas. I'm like, no, absolutely, go ahead. So just getting to see the way that learning comes to life in the building has been so wonderful.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Nick?
Just seeing the kids' faces when they walked in the building made me think back to the feelings I had when I realized education was the route I wanted to go as a career. Just that excitement, that fulfillment, watching them talk to their peers, watching them explore the spaces, watching them, have their jaws drop. Just really exciting to see, and seeing the kids full of energy and excitement for learning it was incomparable. It was great.
I think for me, it'll definitely be one of the most memorable days of my entire career was standing there. I had cold chills as they came in. Let me just say that both of you did such an amazing job making that day organized and special. And just seeing the students' reaction. One of my favorite memories was a group of students who were walking down the hallway. They were like taking a little tour, going from place to place. They were with the teacher, and they said, wait. And like they wanted to take a selfie like in front of like a mural or something. And I was like, I mean, is there something better than like middle school saying like, I like this so much that it has to be part of a selfie for me? Like it was such a great memory. And it was also great for me to see the reactions of the teachers as well, who did an amazing job. They had 3 days to get their classrooms completely organized before it was on and the teachers were coming. And not only did they do that, but the amount of joy that they had in receiving students when they walked in on January 11th also is like a memory I will never forget. Students were walking in, and beyond just the facility, I heard many students say to their teachers, run over and hug their teachers and say, that was such a long break, I missed you.
Aww.
And I was like, is there anything better? Like that,
No.
that's just incredible,
Yeah.
right? And that's just the caliber of teachers that we have. But I also love to see the faces of the teachers when they got to see the spaces, because 100% of teachers and 100% of students had input into this. And so I was coming up every day over break. Just like when you build a house, when you build a school, you got to be there every day to make sure things are going right. So a shout out to Jim Nichols as well from district office, who was there every day, and Kurt Konecki, our superintendent. We were there every day kind of making sure things were going well. Mick Davis, our treasurer, was highly involved in that. So we got to see like every day a difference was being made, but teachers didn't have that opportunity. The last time they saw it was a construction zone and they walked in. So also, seeing their faces was just a memory that will last a lifetime.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So when we thought about this space, there was a considerable amount of time and energy that was really talking about how we wanted to design a space that would be for the future. We wanted our students who are currently here to love the building, but we were actually building it for the students who are in preschool now, knowing that we were being very future forward when we're talking about design. So knowing that, for the people who have not been there yet, would each one of you please give us like a design feature that's in the building that you just really especially admire, like, enjoy, and tell me why? Nick, do you mind starting?
Sure. So I really appreciate the neighborhoods. Like, I love the design of the neighborhoods. I love walking through the neighborhoods and seeing kids collaborating, working together. In the 7th grade neighborhood particularly, there's 2 group rooms, I like to call them, that are kind of off the neighborhood. So groups of 4 or 5 kids can go in there and close the door and have a conversation or record a video, record a podcast. So that's really cool to see. And it's always exciting to me to see every grade level using them simultaneously. And so having that opportunity to do that with state-of-the-art equipment there at their disposal is amazing.
One downside to moving in January is that we haven't been able to maximize the use of some of our really special design features, and so we are really excited to use. There are multiple what we call project porches or patios on the building that are extended learning spaces into the outside, and we are really anxiously anticipating some mild weather so that we can get out there. You know, the building is designed with such incredible features for natural light, all these windows that are safe but allow that natural light to come through. And so to be able to have already these classrooms that feel like they're outside, and then to be able to take it out into the actual patios and continue learning out there, we're really excited about that.
Yes. One of the aspects that we didn't know would happen is the beautiful sunrises that we get to see in the morning from the 2nd story. Another favorite memory is this was early, maybe, I don't know, week 1 or something. There was this incredible sunset that was happening, and all of the students were flooding into the classrooms that line the front of the building and taking these incredible pictures of the sun rising. And again, it's all about like so much natural light that's coming through, and really taking advantage of this incredible, beautiful surroundings that we know is the village of Indian Hill. So I've also really appreciated that as well. when we open a new building, it also gives us an opportunity to kind of hit the reset button and say, now that we have new spaces and students will be interacting in different ways within those new spaces, what else do we want to consider about the middle school experience? And I know there's some new and exciting things that are happening. Will you share a little bit about the house system?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first joined Indian Hill Middle School, one of the things that we were struggling with is coming out of COVID, how do we get students connected to each other, plugged back in? And often in a middle school, you'll hear concerns about school spirit because, you know, there's not necessarily that formed identity as a school. There's not the Friday night football game that everybody shows up to. And so that's not unique to Indian Hill Middle School, but it was certainly something that we were grappling with. And so during the summer sessions with our Braves leadership team, the staff had this idea to start embedding these daily advisories in place to do our Brave character ed. We started thinking, like, how do we get creative with that, and how do we very purposefully connect students across grade levels who've been in different buildings, bring them back together as one school. And so out of that came this idea of a house system, that we would divide equally students into 4 different houses named after our pillars: pride, integrity, leadership, and respect, giving us an opportunity to sort of organically embed the pillars of Indian Hill into their daily life, give them that sticky language. And it's still growing, like we're still trying to figure out what could the house system be. But so far it gives us an infrastructure to connect students to each other, connect them to an adult, let them know, like, we care about you, you belong here, and this school is unified and yours.
And I know we've had some conversations as this house system grows, we can add things like graphics throughout the building that will reinforce it. But the other day I randomly was just walking down the hallway to go say hi to a teacher, and I heard a student say, I think, like, we're purple, tomorrow's Pride Day or Leadership Day. I can't remember which house it was, but
yeah.
I was like, oh, like, it's really incredible to hear already the conversation that students are having organically on their own about the house that they belong to and how they show belonging to that.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of like the Field of Dreams, right? We figured, like, let's put the infrastructure in place. If we build it, they will come.
Right, and isn't that really one of the most important things that can happen in the middle school? You know, people joke all the time about, oh, middle school, like, it's just the worst. And I don't know that I really believe that. I think it's a really important part of a child's life. And when we think about what we design as educational professionals, I don't know that there's anything that's more important than belonging to help a student transition during this important time of their life.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say to parents who are struggling with some of the developmental things that happen in middle school, that often it's our first time experiencing these things independent, right? So we're making friends independent of mom and dad setting up play dates for the first time. And because of that, we're experiencing conflict for the first time independent of mom and dad. So of course we're a little bad at it. Like, we need to intentionally practice that and set students up for success. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity to embrace the things that make middle school challenging, and recognize that they're sort of developmentally appropriate experiences, even when they feel inappropriate at times.
And you know what goes along with that, I think, is our commitment when we often talk about learners as doers, learners as individuals, and learners as the whole child. And I really admire our district's ability to know that the whole child is equally important to any other subject we're talking about. And so, Nick, when we think about the middle school, I also think we've designed specific spaces in mind of thinking about mental wellness. So will you share some information about that?
Sure. So we have right outside the counseling office a room called the Brave Room, and we are fortunate enough to have a Brave Room in every building in our district, the primary, the elementary, and the high school. And ours is, like others, is a proactive safe space for students that holds educational tools, stress relieving tools. We also work on the educational portion of that, trying to teach them best ways to decompress, best ways to de-stress, take a break, get mentally right before returning to class, or maybe starting off their day. You know, we learned a lot from COVID in terms of just how important it is for our kids to be with each other and interact with each other, and sometimes they just come to school with some issues and some concerns that just need to be addressed. And so starting the day off in the Brave Room or planning a time during their school day to access the Brave Room can be very helpful. And so we try to limit it so that they can right themselves, kind of get in the right space, right headspace, and then head back to class. But it's intentional, it's brief, it's educational, and we're just trying to help kids with that self-regulation piece.
It kind of reminds me of what Lauren was saying previously about it's such a time for students to learn about themselves and to learn how to do things independently. And I'm so thankful that I get to be part of a school district that wants to teach the important things like self-regulation and not just leave it up to chance that every student will figure that out on their own. Why would we not take the time to think about that proactively? So I think it's really great. And I know that also has included lots of partnerships with agencies outside of Indian Hill, like 1 in 5 and Children's Hospital. So I think it's a well use of space for sure. It is hard to believe that we've only been in the building for a little over a month. Like it seems longer than that. And I know there's a lot of things on the horizon. Just what's next in your mind?
Yeah, we've been cultivating some student leadership opportunities, again, trying to let things be a little bit grassroots. So over the last couple weeks, I've been meeting with a group of 6th and 8th grade students, and we're trying to recruit some 7th graders into the mix. We just put a call out. If you want to talk about leadership and if you want to have some input with the principal, bring your lunch and join. And it has been really fun to connect with those kids in that way. And they have some really fun ideas about how to show gratitude toward their teachers. So they're going to be starting a Teacher of the Week nomination that they run, and they celebrate their teachers. And they've also, a couple of the 8th graders have decided to start a compliment challenge. When we looked together at some of our panorama data with the students, I showed them some of that information. We talked about our goal of belonging. They realized we don't often compliment one another, and we don't often receive compliments. And so they've been practicing what a good compliment sounds like and looks like, and trying to make those contributions to the school. So again, starting organic, but I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
Oh, that's great. Nick, you have really kind of seen the decades now of Indian Hill Middle School. So like just last thoughts from you about like all of this transition and what it means.
Just excited about what's to come. I mean, there's so many possibilities, not only physical space, but just collaboration with buildings, since we're on the same campus for the first time in a while. So, I'm looking forward to, working with Cody Reardon and his high school leadership class, getting some of those kids down to mentor some of our middle school kiddos. Looking forward to the outdoor spaces. I think when the weather turns to spring and we get some warm weather, getting the kids outside on some of those learning porches, I think it's gonna be pretty cool. And then also, we're getting them outside for recess now. We weren't able to do that before. And so yesterday was the first day we were outside for recess in a while. So just, utilizing the space that we've been privileged to have, and just looking forward to what's next. Like the possibilities are endless, and just looking at our talented staff and seeing like what they come up with for our kids is gonna be super exciting.
Well, it's really a pretty awesome responsibility to open a new building and to welcome students into a new space and set the tone for it, and to have it filled with joy at the same time, knowing that you're not done, right?
Yeah.
Like this is just the beginning of what this means to be part of this building. And I will say, for both of you, there's no one better than the two of you to help us lead us with that. I'm just so thankful for both of what you do every day for students, how dedicated you are to students and to families, and what a great colleague you are to everybody at the middle school, including me. Like I'm a better educator because of the time I get to spend with you. So I'm so thankful.
That's okay.
Thank you.
And thank you for being part of Masterclass.